What up, everybody? I'm still seeing videos recommended to me like crazy by people that say that the Switch 2 failed. I've even seen some people going as far as saying that it's a Wii U 2.0. Like, my goodness, the system hasn't even been out a year yet. Not even, I don't even think it's been out half a year yet at this point. Well, it might have been, but either way, though, it definitely hasn't been out a year yet. And people are already so quick to write it off as a failure. This isn't like the Switch edition. This ain't like the Switch situation where it was the first system we had after the failure of the Wii U. Yeah, because of how bad the Wii U did and the overall pattern Nintendo was going in, it literally looked like they were doing the same thing that Sega did right before Sega went bankrupt and became a third-party company. That was literally the pattern that was going on there. But the thing is, though, is the Switch turned out to be a huge success instead of, being the next Dreamcast. So, yeah. Now, so to sit there and write the Switch 2 off as a failure already, that's just stupid. Y'all gotta keep in mind, the system just came out and it's only got like 4 games worth getting for it when it's all said and done. And Nintendo never has and never will be the system to get for third party support. Let's just keep it real on that. Yes, they may have better third party support now than what they used to, don't get me wrong, but at the end of the day, I can't think of one single person out there that's like, oh yeah, man, I'm gonna get Nintendo system just to play third party games. Like, for real. Anybody who gives a crap about the third party support is gonna probably want to play on an Xbox or PlayStation or PC. Like, let's just keep it real on that. You know, because they're more superior. They run better. They look better and everything on other systems. They get more support in terms of DLC and extra content and things like that. You know, so yeah, like extra modes. Like, for example, the WWE 2K25 has the My Island mode if you get it for the Series X or the PlayStation 5. But it doesn't have that mode if you get it for the Switch 2. So, yeah. Not that it matters, because that was just another corporate greed-riddled mess of a mode anyway, so it's whatever. But still, nonetheless, though, at the end of the day, yeah, when it's all said and done, I just really can't see anybody going out and getting a Nintendo system solely for third-party titles. I mean, I have a lot of third-party titles on my Switch, but, you know, they're nothing that... It's not like it's a situation where they're really high demanding in, like, performance and things like that. Like, I'm talking, like, Lego games and, the Pac-Man World Repack and things like that. That kind of third-party support and indie titles and whatnot. So, yeah. But yeah, only 4 games are out for the thing. But there is another key factor to take in, because I was sitting there thinking about this earlier. I'm like, dude, I recently ordered a copy of the Turok Collection, because they had it on sale for a limited time for $30. It's usually 40. They had it marked down to 30. So, and then they had the Sonic Shadows Generation or whatever on 50% off. They usually sell for 50. They had it down for 25. So I'm like, I'll go ahead and get those two. And yeah, of course I'm still waiting for them to come in, but still, nonetheless though, that came up to like $15 less than what it would cost to buy just a copy of Donkey Kong Bonanza, for example. And that's just something worth noting right there. Like, they are charging an insane amount for their games, and I know, well, Sony and Microsoft are doing it too. They're charging $70 for games and whatnot. Now, the thing is, though, is games on the PlayStation and the Xbox actually get something known as a price drop. Like, let's be real. Yeah, they may be like $70 for like the first few months or so. But after that, they end up getting marked down, like maybe down to 50 to 40. Sometimes they wind up in a $20 bin within no time at all. Just saying, Red Dead Redemption 2, so, yeah, that ended up within a $20 bin within no time at all. So, yeah, Nintendo exclusives don't get those kind of deals. They don't get those kind of sales. The only chance you ever have of spending less than full price for a Nintendo game is if you get it on a Black Friday sale or Cyber Monday sale or whatever, or if you just get online and buy a used copy to save like maybe $5 to $10. So, yeah. That's the only way. So, yeah, so you got to take that into account too. Like, a lot of people ain't going to pay $75 no matter how long they wait for the game to be out. Like, for real. That's just crazy. That's insane. You know, like, I can tell you it'll probably take me all year round, all year long to finally get the main 4 games I want for the Switch 2. Because of how expensive they are and everything. If they actually got the proper price decreases and everything, I could be more frugal and get them on deals and whatnot. If I was able to do that, oh yeah, I could probably get like 2 of them in 1 month. But because of the way Nintendo is, because of how they never want to give their games any kind of discounts or anything, then yeah, pretty much maybe once a month purchase if I'm lucky enough to do that. So, or fortunate enough rather, so yeah. Because like I said, I still got bills to pay, you know, I still got furniture to pay off, which that's another bill, but still, you know, I'm still putting back in my savings and things like that, so yeah. Gotta take care of real life responsibilities and stuff first, you know. You know, priorities, man. Gotta have them together, so yeah. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things to take into account when it comes to why the other systems are selling better than the Switch 2. Again, the system hasn't even been out that long. It ain't got too many games worth getting for right now. I'll tell you the truth. If it wasn't for it being backwards compatible, I probably wouldn't be in any kind of hurry to get one. But I know at some point in time, my Switch can play out at any given time. You know, there's no telling when it happened. I mean, it may last for another 10 years, you never know. But, you know, better safe than sorry. So I'd rather get a Switch 2, have for all my games, plus get the few, very, very small handful of games I actually want for the Switch 2, and then call it a day. And like I said, I'm more than positive they're going to release more games throughout the following years for the Switch 2. You know, so people writing it off as a failure already, all they're doing is making themselves look like a bunch of blind haters. Like, I'm just going to keep it real on that. I'm not a fanboy or anything. I have my fair share of critiques and everything on every single console and whatnot, regardless of what it is, you know. But at the end of the day, I think too many people are being too quick to hate, you know. It's like some of these people just want it to fail. Like, they desperately want it to fail or something. So, yeah, I'm just giving it a chance. I'm giving it a benefit of the doubt. Yes, I was in that same boat with the Switch when I thought, oh, it's going to fail. It's going to be the next Dreamcast and everything because of the overall patterns and everything that Nintendo was doing that Sega also did. So, before they ended up becoming a third-party company. So, yeah. So, I had my fair share of reasoning for why I felt that way back then, but it's a completely different situation now, completely different ballgame now. So, yeah. I mean, yes, you can't really expect an inferior system to sell as well as the systems that can perform better and, you know, have better third-party support and things like that. So anybody that's expecting it to sell as good or better is, quite frankly, an idiot. I'm sorry, but it is what it is on that. It's like, you know how much the PlayStation 5 was during the holiday seasons? $450, the exact same price it cost to get a base Switch, too. So yes, again, of course the PS5 is going to sell better. Like, a lot of this stuff, when it comes to debunking the haters, it basically just comes down to common sense. You know, you don't even have to really do any kind of research or anything. It just comes down to common sense. So, yeah. But like I said, a lot of them are just blinded by hate. They want the Switch 2 to fail. I think they really wanted to go the same route that Sega went down and everything. I mean, don't get me wrong. It would be interesting to see what it would be. It would be awesome if instead of having to buy a new Nintendo system, I can just get all the Nintendo exclusives I want for the Xbox or something like that. But still. Nonetheless, though, at the end of the day, people are being too quick to write it off as a failure. And like I said, comparing it to the Wii U is stupid. So, yeah. Y'all take care. God bless and peace.